Hey everyone, I'm George Savaricas,
And I'm Harold Varner.
and we're the co-host of Rippin' It. Before we start this week's episode, we want to give a shout out to a couple of our very special sponsors. Harold, this is the ultimate backyard game, especially if you're a golfer. Chippo. I've played it with buddies. It is the perfect game when you're outside just enjoying the summer.
Yeah, it's going to be fun for obviously my kids soon and obviously for adult beverages.
Nothing better than to have a few of those on the line as you're making some bets with buddies. If you want to get your own Chippo, we have the special promo code Ripping It for 15% off. Go to chippogolf.com. Harold, I know I personally suck at putting and couldn't be more excited to put the perfect practice to use. I know there are a number of guys on tour have used it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. Obviously, I think everyone has it in their house. It's a really cool thing to just get people, obviously I love gambling on it. There's no gambling at Bushwood, but it's a great fun feature of the household.
The perfect practice is a need if you're just starting at golf, recreational guy like myself, even for pros on the PGA Tour. We have a special promo code to get you 15% off. It's Ripping It. Go to perfectpractice.golf to get yours today. We are now at the halfway mark of season one here on Ripping It, episode number 6. George Savaricas with HV3, coming off a shortened week in the Big Easy.
Love
Now,
how
Harold,
you put that down right there. Yeah, man, it must be a good friend to say something like that, but love you too.
um, what happened, man?
Thought I needed some rest. No, I'm joking. No, I did not. I didn't have
Clubs are tired.
the first day. I don't think I made it. I'm not really sure, but it felt like I made no birdies. But
You made
you
one,
know,
I think.
oh, that's good. But I got carried around that golf course like a little baby, and there's a lot of things I want to do, and that just wasn't it. It was we had a great time. We just didn't play well enough. Well, I didn't play well enough to help. Perfect example. Number 8, we have 65 yards. A little weird spot, whatever. Not think anything of it. I probably hit it. I probably hit it 40 yards, and it went just plugged right in the bunker and made bogey. I mean, literally, all I had to do is just hit it 60 yards, and we had a putt it birdie. So we get to number 9, and I'm hitting the tee ball at the par 3, and I hit it to 10 feet. So I hit it closer from 210 than I did from
65.
yeah, it was good times. So I'm glad I get to put that in the past because it can stay there and it's not relevant in what's going to happen in the future. So another opportunity cooking next week, obviously.
You think Brandon would be partners with you again, or was that a one and done? Where once he saw you, he's like, okay, that's
That won't be a one and done. We had a great time. We're going to do it again. His short game is just so filthy.
he's nails.
So he bails me out all the time. So it's pretty fun.
What's that week like inside the ropes? Actually, having is there almost more pressure because you know that you have a teammate who's also relying on you, or how different is that from a normal week?
So obviously, I don't focus really well in general in life, yet alone golf. So the hardest part is like you'll be sitting there, you'll just be like, "Man, he's got it, no big deal, whatever." And then all of a sudden, you're like, "Oh shit, I need to make this putt." That is the part that I mean, just so I just been saying it's preparing me for some type of team event. Deal with it, handle it, figure it out. Same thing in anything. Like if you do it enough, you will get better at it. It's just not the same as like playing a money match. And I'll you live and
And
you
the
learn.
money, I mean, there's a little more money on the line.
Don't remind me, bud.
What the format with alternate for Sunday? I mean, that was exciting as a fan to watch. I don't know if you caught what happened down the stretch or heard the recap of the back and forth, and then like Leishman and Cam Smith winning the playoff.
I didn't watch much of it, but obviously I'm a big Leishman fan. Um, but I actually don't know what happened in the playoff, honestly. I just saw the chip in on 16.
Yeah, he chips in on 16. They go to a playoff. Louis hits it in the water. First playoff
Oh, I
hole.
was wondering, I was confused. I was watching, like, I was kind of halfway, I was probably, falling asleep or
You were
whatever.
surfing,
Yeah,
shell
whatever.
surfing.
But I just saw that like they putted and it was just like, all right, cool, congrats. I was like, man, that seemed like a good playoff.
Yeah, it was quick.
Yeah, that stinks. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, to turn that event into a team event and make that time of the year a reason to want to play is so underrated in this day and age of golf. Like you got to play X events. People are playing less events. I mean,
Yeah.
some big names go and play that event, and I commend Steve Worthy and the Zurich people for just getting it done, figuring out a way to just make golf entertaining, not only for fans but for players. Like it's a great time. Like the environment on the range there compared to when it was before is totally different.
It's a
Um,
perfect spot on the schedule. They took the quote unquote risk. And I think it was the smartest decision that the Zurichs made and that the tour was willing to add in a team event.
yeah, I just think they should have a Monday qualifier for it. That's just my thoughts.
That'd be kind
When
of cool.
one team gets in, let them Monday.
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest thing. I mean, they took the Monday qualifier away once it became a team event. So why can't you?
Yeah. You should let one or two teams.
I know they're about making money, so why don't they just do it? Like the
Yeah,
local, PGA, the state PGA, that section's gonna crush it. Why not?
for sure. All right. First time we're doing this on Ripping It. I'm happy that you're sitting down right now, Harold, because we're taking our questions from the fans.
Might not be for long. Might just get up. No, I'm joking.
uh, First question here, one that you answered on Twitter from Joel Damon. Why did you hit it out of bounds on the first hole at RBC Heritage on Sunday?
Well, I got paired with him and I answered it, and all I said was, "I can't believe someone else didn't ask that." I don't know why, but boy, it was 4 right. I was like, "Oh." I mean, the best part is I wanted to walk up to him and be like, "Why didn't you ask about number 2 on Saturday?"
Uh,
Yeah.
from David Eisenbath. When you win the Wells Fargo, do we party in Charlotte or Gas Vegas or both? Good luck, bro. Keep making CLT proud.
Uh, depends on the COVID restrictions.
That's a good answer.
Thank you. I'm looking out for my people.
Um, Harold, was the pro am fun?
Oh my gosh, they were lit, lit. They shot 10 under on 9 holes when I played with them, and we had a great time. Let's just say that. Well, they for sure did.
What are your favorite Jumpman 23 golf shoes and Jays in general? From
I'd say threes or tens. Threes in the shoes and tens or threes in the golf shoe, also the regular shoe, and tens in the regular shoe just go well with shorts and with pants, which is hard to come by in any shoe these days.
at Bill Wall NC1 HV3. Are you still active with the ECU men's golf team? If so, what's your motivational message to them each year?
Um, Here and there, obviously, there's a different coach there, Coach Sapp, who I know pretty well. He was at UNC when I was there. Not as much as I'd like, but I think it's more of a time issue than it is like, oh, I want it to be like, it is what it is. So yeah, I mean, when I do see them, we played. It's weird enough. We played a lot during COVID, in Pinehurst. Weirdly enough, so yeah, we keep in touch. Just, I mean, dude, I'm trying to be a soon-to-be father, and they're trying to be college athletes. It's a little different dynamic. Um, well, I think it is. I mean, I'm definitely having a different experience right now than I had, being a college athlete. So yeah, as much as I can, we're doing a tournament in Greenville, obviously to help the men's and women's golf team as well. So I enjoy getting back there. If there was an airport that you could fly, not just to Charlotte, I think I would consider having a house there.
Really?
Yeah, that place changed my life, man. Why would I not go back to where, invest in the people that have, molded me? They've been such a big part of my life. So, obviously spending summers there, working at the local golf course, you know, you just meet some awesome people. And why would I go do that in a place that, I like to invest in places where they even either invested in me or they have a tie in me. And that's one of those places.
Very cool. We'll do three more from this questions from the fans. From at Socrates, your NBA fan. Have you gotten into Top Shot?
I have no clue what Top Shot is, and am I an NBA fan? I would think so. I mean, yeah, yeah, duh. Very interesting season. A lot of injuries. The Hornets are playing unbelievable. I'm just looking for Ball to come back and just stay on that run he was on. Before he got hurt.
You've never heard of Top Shot?
No.
Oh, it's crazy. It's this marketplace where you can purchase digital like rendering of a highlight and then trade it. And it sounds really abstract, but some of these specific, like if you have like a LeBron highlight or like the rights to a Giannis highlight, they can go anywhere from like 100 to 300K or something along those
Who's getting the 300K? Well, maybe I'm in the wrong field, bud.
lines. It's wild. There's been this huge bubble with Top Shot, and over the last 12 months, that it's built up to these exorbitant transactions, the price points for these. So I've just started learning a little bit. I have some friends who are familiar with
We
that
need to
realm.
learn some more, bud. We need to learn
I know,
more.
I know. Trust me, I know. Um, next two questions. Where do you want to retire?
Um, Next question. Uh,
No,
I
you're
don't know.
passing.
I don't pass so much, but I think I would.
What are
I
you
mean,
going to be like a James Bond villain, some secret hidden island?
no, I just don't want to put a limit on where I can be and where I want to be. And if I sit here and I say Gastonia, well, when I turn 50, 60, I might not want to live in Gastonia. But in my mind, I'm going to live wherever it's the easiest to live. So if there's, if I don't feel well in the cold, maybe I'll have two houses. I'll retire wherever I feel good. But I really love living in North
Now we're
Carolina.
talking.
I love living in North Carolina. It's obviously it's an important part of my life. My wife is from Greenville, North Carolina, so it's just kind of I don't know, man. It's good. Well, I mean, and also it depends on. I mean, weirdly to say, where your kids are. That's where you're going to go. Like
Yeah.
if they have like little grandbabies. It's the greatest thing in the world. You get to give them back.
Uh,
So, I would say I would if I had to. I would think I would have a place in Charlotte, and I'd have a place somewhere in Florida. It's just no brainer. I mean, I'm 30 and I get so terrified of the cold.
Last question. What song best describes your golf game?
I can't say next question, but I have no clue. I'm not that into songs. Not
Well,
next,
that's
but
the
I
most
mean,
bullshit
let,
response you've ever you've
oh
given
my
it 6
gosh,
episodes of ripping it.
what in the hell are you talking
Oh,
about?
you're so full of it, Harold.
Dude, I mean, that's just not a great question. I mean, what song? Let me go on Spotify. Let's just go to my recents and the closest thing I can
Yeah, well,
let's see. I guess let's go with Track Star real fast, but not sure where I'm going. That just made me laugh, so I'm going with that.
that works. I'll
That
give you
was
that.
terrible. That was terrible. I barely know artists, yet alone, like the only way I know songs is I'm sitting there dancing. I cut on Shazam, and then the next day I'll take it to Spotify.
What was I dancing to?
Yeah, exactly. No clue.
Yeah, tell me a little about our next guest, and I guess why it's important for you to have Ron Rivera on the podcast. How long you guys have known each other? What to expect
Oh,
here?
I don't know if it was so important. I just knew that his story obviously it resonates with more people than you know just just being an athlete. Obviously, we had dinner at Pebble this year, and we've talked a lot about sports, a lot about life, but when he was opening up about his story, I just I've heard both versions. What he was really thinking. It was just really cool for him to open up, and like I'm not, it's not about us, but it was. I think is if I can be an advocate of what he's about, because we've talked about everything in life and share that. I wanted my viewers that are listening to be able to, I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely nuts.
It's amazing story, and yeah, excited for all the fans listening to get to hear Ron Rivera, coach of the Washington football team, our next guest. You want to wake up feeling good every day? I mean, who doesn't? This product, I can personally attest, has had a huge shift in my day-to-day wellness. It's 2020 Immunity Booster, 2.5-ounce shot, handcrafted by sports dietitians, filled with essential vitamins and nutrients with none of the artificial colors or BS you see in sports drinks. I have it before I go to the range or start my round, or even just to kick off my day. Get 20% off your first order. Ripping It 20, the promo code. Go to drink2020.com. All right, for the first time on Rippin' It, we get to welcome in a two-time NFL Coach of the Year in Ron Rivera. I know, Harold, a good friend of yours. And Ron, we always start our podcast with our guests. The last time you were able to pick up a golf club was...
Oh, are you kidding? It was this past weekend. I got an opportunity on Saturday. See, this is my time of year to golf. In late spring, early summer, I play as much as I can, whenever I can, wherever I can.
Well, let's continue that conversation. How's the game?
I have as my moments. I got an opportunity to play the Robert Trent Jones course up here on the DC area. I started first 6 holes 1 under. And then I proceeded to shoot a 39 in the front and then a 46 in the back. A little bit of reality.
You were nervous, Coach. Just,
Oh,
it's a long 18 holes.
Scary going too low.
It is. But after the 6th hole, and I hit a okay drive on the 7th. And I looked at my wife and I said, "Gosh, how these guys can do it for frickin' 18 holes is beyond me." She goes, "What?" I said, "Stay focused. Stay in the game." I don't get it. I mean, that's all I could do for 6 holes. That was the best I could play.
That's awesome. That's obviously we obviously have a friendship. But I gotta give a shout out to Stephanie. I tell her, explain to the viewers how good she is at golf. I know you told me. I was like, you're like, "Man, I've never beat my wife," and I was like, in my head when we first what are you talking about? Yeah. But she's so good. So
it's ridiculous because she's in Harbortown right now. She's down in Hilton Head. Her and a group of golf ladies went to go play golf from a bunch of ladies from Charlotte from Carmel Country Club. They're down there playing. She played it for the first time and shot 78. I mean, that's the kind of game she has for a lady. She's a very good ladies golfer. She's better than most men. She averages about 235 to 265 off the tee. I mean, she's one of her strengths is her putting. I mean, she drops bombs from at least once a round. She's going to hit a putt over 25 feet. I mean, that's just her game, and it's a lot of fun to play with her. We're very competitive. I keep telling her, well, if you let me play from the ladies' tees, I'll have a chance, but she won't. But the nice thing is, the big part of our relationship is we go everywhere to play golf together.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But as a competitor, really cool. What goes through your head just every time she beats you? Well, first, let's ask the first time she beat you.
It took a while before she got to the point where she could beat me, but her handicap dropped a lot fast. What happened was when our daughter, started going to preschool, Stephanie had a lot of time on her hands. So we joined a country club and she just kept playing, kept getting better and better and better.
What city?
Chicago.
Oh, okay.
We belong to Royal Melbourne. It was
great spot.
Oh yes, it's an unbelievable. Yeah, right there. And it was one of those things where she just had a great group of ladies and they would play golf. She'd take Courtney to school, drop her off, go play 9 or 18 holes, go back, pick Courtney up. And it was a big part of her thing. And she just kept playing since and got her handicap down. I think the lowest she got at one point was probably to about a 4. Right now I think she's playing to about a 6 point something right now. So she's playing pretty good golf.
I can't believe I've never asked this question, but how did you get into golf? Maybe I have. I don't know. I asked a lot of questions, as you know.
No, you do ask a lot of questions, but no, my future father-in-law, when Stephanie and I started dating, and we got engaged, I got to meet her parents. Her parents, they lived close to Berkeley. We were both at Cal still, and he played golf with a golf group a couple times a week, and so a couple times he had me go play, and so I'd come play with them, and what happened really was, Stephanie, she started to see me go to the golf course, so she wanted to come. So she came one time and she kind of was just with us. And then she started hitting the ball. And then all of a sudden she started to fall in love with the game. And she figured, with as much golf as I get to play, or I got to play as a player because of all the charity events, she figured if I'm going to be with him, hey, I better learn to play. So she did, and that's how we both started taking golf up because of her dad.
Wow. I mean, that I just can't believe you let her beat you, but that's just between me
Oh
and
yeah.
I don't know. There's a let there.
Oh yeah, believe me, there's a lot because I don't get to play as much as she does. First of all, she probably gets somewhere around 125 to 175 rounds a year. So
How
How
many
many do you
rounds do
get?
you play? Yeah.
Yeah.
I will probably play from about now till the season starts. I'll probably average about 15 to 20 rounds a month. So for about 4 months, I'm gonna get about 80 rounds in. I'll get
That's
about
pretty
pretty
80
good
rounds.
though
strong.
with your schedule though.
Oh, it is because sometimes I'll play 36, and just because it's a great opportunity to relax. But when I get to the dead time, the off season, I really enjoy it. I do, and it's one of the thrills. I mean, and one of the other big thrills is when I get to play in the pro-ams, I get an opportunity to play with guys like you, Harold. It's fun to watch people really good at what they do, and to me that's the thrill about playing in the pro-ams. I know I can't compete with these guys, so I just enjoy watching good golf. I think it's really cool.
That's awesome. That's
When did you
obviously.
two guys meet?
Well, I was gonna
Oh
get to
God.
that story, George, but you messed it
I'm curious.
up. We have a mutual friend named Kendall Alley.
Yes.
And I mean, here's the full story. I didn't know I was playing with Ron. I was like, yeah, I'll play. I'll play the Kendall. He's like, well, my son's going to play, and I think Ron's going to play. And I was just like, like when you first say like, head coach of the Panthers is going to play, I'm like, man, he's got busier stuff to do. Like I didn't know coach was in the golf like that. So he shows up, and we just obviously we hit it off, and
Yeah.
just we see a lot of things compatible in life. So yeah, it was awesome. I didn't play very well, but it was
Oh
good.
no, 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 no. You birdied 4 of the first 6 or 7 holes. I remember that. You had one. No, Harold had a young protege, a guy that he was helping out. It was on one of the smaller tours, and trying to give advice. And we get to the first hole. His buddy hits the ball within like about first of all, Harold hits his about 6 feet. His buddy hits it about 3 feet. So Harold goes, really? So he makes birdie on the first hole. And I mean, it was impressive because they had a little bet going, and it was just, I mean, it was who can top who, and I really just kind of sat back and enjoyed it because it was a lot of fun. And then Harold got the upper hand, and just he wouldn't let go. He was like a dog on a bone. He just kept chewing, 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 and and really, to me, the lesson he was trying to teach his young friend is, hey, dude, it's going to be like this. People are going to come at you. How are you going to handle it? And it was cool because it was somebody doing what he does best to help somebody. That's one of the things I took away from that whole encounter. I thought was cool.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, obviously, but I mean, I love golf, but as a coach, you're trying to do that to 50 something guys every year. How do you manage that? How do you figure out what this guy needs, what that guy needs? That's the part that's always amazed me about obviously any coaching, because I've had some end of year meetings in college, and
Yes.
when you're someone you look up to asks you a question of how to motivate people, like I only know how Harold's going to be motivated and how do you manage that?
hmm the biggest thing, Harold, is when you first get there, to me, you got to get to know the players as best as you can, and you kind of find out who they are, what triggers them, what gets them going individually, and the biggest thing is you got to make sure the guys that you keep on your team all have a shared purpose. They understand what the vision is. The thing I talk about is building sustainable winning culture with the ultimate prize of winning the Super Bowl. So when I talk to guys, I want to know, hey, what are your goals? What are your aspirations? And at some point in that conversation, I want to hear the guy say, well, I want to win Super Bowls. I want to help the team win Super Bowls. Guy may start and say, hey, I want to be an all pro, or hey, I want to be an all Hall of Famer, but I want to help my team win. So when you hear that triggers right now that you can talk to this guy in the sense that that they understand, and that is when the tide rises, so does all the ships. In other words, this guy will do what it takes to help the team win because he knows he'll benefit from it, and that to me is what you're looking for. That's the connection because I learned this from a friend of mine who's a retired Army Ranger, and they had a little saying is that the success of the team is the responsibility of the individual, but the success of the individual is the responsibility of the team. And so that's what you're looking for. You're looking for people that'll fit in that way.
How hard is it to find that though? I mean, so
Um,
much in our world we live in is about, it's me.
mhm,
It's
yeah,
it's me or it's me. And social media is, I don't know how I know how it affects people in
yep,
general, but when they get successful,
yep,
even though everyone's like Harold's humble, man, everyone likes to be loved. Everyone likes to be liked. If they
yep.
don't, then good on them. I'm not good at that.
No, no, but I get that part because that's one of the things that we do deal with is that we got to reel these guys in that once we get them from college. The hard thing about college football right now is that it really is about bringing these young men in and trying to help them understand it's about being a team player first, because so much of that they've been hounded for so long. They've been recruited individually so long to come be part of our program. We need you. We want you. Now you turn it around and get to the NFL and it's, hey, we picked you. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we're recruiting you, we're picking you. So you have no choice but to come to us. And now you've got to be able to sit to them and tell them, hey, look, you just got to understand, everything is not about you. Everything is about us. And if we have success, you have success. That's the interesting thing, and that really is a big challenge right there.
Ron, there was a speech that Nick Saban gave, a response to a question that kind of just went viral the last couple days. And the crux of his answer was talking with players at Alabama. And as part of the draft process, and he says this to him as freshmen and then leading up to trying to land a job, that when they're reading a scouting report, he wants everyone at Alabama to be an and player when they're saying,
Mhm.
and he's a high character guy or and he's a leader instead of a but player. But he
Right.
got in a bar fight freshman year, but he has like erratic effort. What's it like when you guys are trying to, and I know the draft's coming up later this week, are trying to sort through someone's character, but it's such a like quick process before you're making decisions that can affect the franchise for years to come.
It's real important to get it right, and that's one of the hard things that we go through. And as Harold and I were talking earlier, and and you were listening to us, is that we just got done with a couple of meetings today, going through personnel and doing exactly that, talking about skill sets, talking about where guys fit on our board, where they fit on our football team, and we're sitting there talking, and then the question comes, okay, but will he fit in the culture? And so it's the and the buts, just like you said. So that's all part of the conversation. It's a very important part of the conversation. Because we didn't have the combine this year, we didn't have the opportunity to go out and personally meet these guys face to face. A lot of the stuff we're doing now is like we're doing right now. It's by Zoom. It's over the camera. And so that's even harder because now you're trying to read people, read their personalities, read their character. Um, these last 2 years have been hard in terms of getting ready for the draft and actually drafting players.
I can't imagine because obviously, I know you decent enough to know that you're really good at obviously the thing. Look a man in the eye. How do they
Mhm.
talk? How do they respond to when you ask questions? And I don't know if it's easier to respond by like when you're on here, but it's different when you can get a vibe from someone.
It
You
is.
when you're like right next to a human, you're like, man, I got a weird feeling about what I just talked about. And
Well, well, the biggest thing is the body language. If all you see is the guy's mug on the screen, the talking head, you don't see the body language. You don't see the little gestures that are being made. You don't see guys slumping down, and trying to avoid certain answers. It's you lose a little bit, and so you really have to be careful. Last year we did a couple of things like just like we did this year. We call people that know these guys. We call their coaches, we call their trainers, we call friends of theirs just to get a little bit more in depth and into who they are as young men.
what goes through your head this week? Obviously I'm still a kid. I'm 30, but these are real kids. Like, I probably act like these kids, but you know, but I mean, obviously you think in college you're becoming a man.
Yeah.
I just have a hard time believing you don't become a man until you have to. I feel as if you either provide for another or you have a circumstance where you have no other choice. You
Yeah.
know,
That's one of the things that you do worry about. I mean, it goes through your head is, if I make a choice here, if we choose this guy, is it boom or bust? I mean, that is in your mind. You do want to make sure you have all the details ironed out. And picking the guy, Harold, you're looking for that serious guy. You're looking for that guy that thinks like you just said, hey, I got an opportunity to provide not just for myself but for others. That's a pretty powerful statement a player makes when he talks about, look, I want to take care of my mom and dad. Look, hey, I plan on getting married. I want a family. I got to be able to support a family. The guy's got more in it now, other than just saying, hey, I'm just all about me. Now it's about family. It's about others. That's a pretty powerful statement that we listen for.
yeah, because they've never been able to have that opportunity. Like, yeah, you can say whether they got paid in college or not. Now
Hmm.
it's like your decisions become they affect others,
Yes.
not so much yourself.
Yes.
And that's the thing you and I have talked about, and
Yeah.
not so much struggle with, but let's give these kids the best chance to make the best decision. If they make the wrong decision with all the resources, then that's called consequences. Those are
Yeah.
real life things. So I couldn't do it because I play favorites.
But that's the biggest thing. And you said it, consequences. A lot of these young guys haven't had to face consequences yet because, for the most part, people have been taking care of them for all these years. If the guy something happens, he's not happy with what's going on, he just enters the transfer portal and he goes from one school to another. It doesn't happen that easily in our league. You're going to have to, pull up your big boy britches, and hey, you're going to have to suck it up and work your way through it. And that's a time where it can make or break some players.
That's awesome.
What
What do you love the most about coaching? Like, because obviously being a player, people love you, coach. Like, I mean, you cut on ESPN. I'm like, man, I get why they love him. I get it. But there's got to be something smaller that obviously we don't know about that you enjoy.
The biggest thing I enjoy more so about football, about athletics, about sports, are the people more so than anything else. I do. I enjoy the people. I enjoy watching young players have success. There's so many positives to sports, and if we do it the right way, and if we do it with the right intentions, we can succeed, and a lot of people can get some joy and some pleasure out of it. So I just like watching young people get opportunities and watching them succeed. That to me is really a cool thing. I love watching people do well. I mean, the thrill a couple weeks ago, watching you play and in Harbor Town and seeing the way you were playing and just saying, man, I know he can do that. That's the kind of guy he is. That fires me up. I mean, last year I had a player that we put him on practice squad. And when I sat him down, I said, look, his name was Jeremy Reeves, heck of a young man. I said, listen, you had a good camp. Came down to numbers, but stick with it. Stick with us. I know at some point we'll have to elevate you. You'll get your chance. And he stuck it out. He didn't gripe. He didn't groan. He practiced hard. He gave us great effort. And sure enough, we had to elevate him. And sure enough, he ended up starting for us and playing in the playoff game. I mean, and to see a young man like that just fight his way through it, not give up, and be a pro, that was exciting. That meant a lot to me. It really did.
I can't believe. I mean, I can believe it. I mean, that's a great story. But it seems to me that old people get more excited about the adversity than the guy being the world beater. Like my dad always
Yeah.
talks to. He's like, "You're a winner." I'm like, "Dad, I haven't won shit yet." Like I love you, but I've always noticed that about older people. They love the fight.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I have.
Because it's to me, it's always about the challenge. No matter what, people will never be able to take away the fact that you made it to the tour. People will never be able to take the fact, to take that fact away from you. And to put it on top of something else, they said, well, you're also a black golfer that made it on the PGA Tour. I mean, there's so many things that you've done, you've accomplished, that's what we relish, because we look at it and we say, God, that's such an accomplishment, and to do it, and it's funny because people say that to me all the time about being Hispanic. Man, you're a Hispanic head coach in the league. That's an amazing. And I never thought of it that way, because I've always looked at it that I'm just a coach. And it's like I always try to look at Cam Newton as he's just a quarterback, not a black quarterback. I look at Harold, and I say Harold's a golfer. I don't say Harold's a black golfer. That's where I want to see it get to. And so when a guy like you accomplishes what you do, people start saying, "Man, he can play golf." He doesn't say, "Oh, but that black guy, he plays pretty good golf." No, they say he can play golf. That's what I think the thrill and joy that some of us old people get. Okay, us old guys.
I'm learning because I'm getting older, but I just
Now that you got a 3 as the first digit.
It's just really cool to hear that, because as a kid, you love hearing stories from people that have experienced things, that have done life, because there's only one way to do it, and that's to go through it. So obviously you and I have had some great conversations.
Oh, yeah.
But let's get to the biggest challenge you've had. Obviously we talked about it. We've seen it. People, I was scared because we talk enough to where, like, I'm like, man, if I would need to talk to him, I can talk to him. But it's totally different when someone that gives you advice is going through a challenge. What went through your mind this year? Obviously, you told me the details.
Yeah.
Share what you please, but explain what went through your mind.
Harold, I lost my brother in 2015, the Super Bowl year. He didn't get to see the Super Bowl year, and my brother Mickey would have loved it, but we lost him to cancer. And last summer, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a squamous carcinoma in my throat that had gone to my lymph nodes, one of my lymph nodes, and I wasn't feeling right. I felt a lump. I went and saw our team doctor, and he had me go get a scan. He was with me. They diagnosed me as having cancer, and at first I was truly angry. I mean, I really was angry about the diagnosis, because I had a great summer. Things were headed in the right direction. I was feeling real positive about our football team. And then it's like, you hit this wall. And all I could think of was, really, now, when everything just seemed, I mean, I had a good summer. I really enjoyed it. It was a great time with the family, and just, now I had it. But I think the thing that really shook me up the most was having to tell my mother. My mom had already gone through it one time. She already lost one son. So having to tell my mom was probably the hardest thing I had to do. I mean, telling my family was very hard, but telling my mother, that was tough. And so, I did talk to the doctors, listen to them. They recommended the treatment. We set up his treatment plan. We got it going, and we were going to beat it. I was not backing down from this. I was going to do the best I could. I was going to listen to the doctors and do exactly what I was told. And at first, when it first started, it really doesn't hit you till you start your second cycle. And when I started my second cycle, that's when it really started to hit me, and it became a little bit more of a battle than I kind of figured it would be. So it was there was a lot of challenging moments. I was very fortunate. I got what's called proton therapy, was my radiation that I
Tell them
got.
this story. This is crazy.
Okay.
This is the cool. I mean, it's not the coolest part because you were going through it, but this blew my mind.
Which part about the types of radiation I got?
Yes, getting in that
Okay.
thing and
Okay. So no, because this is something that's going on right now. People have, when you have to get radiation therapy, you either get photon or proton therapy. And I got proton therapy. But in both of those therapies, what they have to do is they have to put you in a mask, or they have to put you in some sort of something that keeps you from moving. So what they did was they built this mask that covered my face and shoulders, and then they would lock me into the table that was underneath the proton machine, and the proton machine would basically zap me with radiation to help kill the cancer. And the thing that's crazy is, um, I had one real moment where I got very anxious. You know, you lay down on the table, they place the mask over your face, on your shoulders, and they lock you in. And when they lock you in, you hear this click sound, and it's really loud, and it gets your attention. So as they're clicking me in, my throat went dry. I was starting to have trouble breathing, and I realized there's no way, and I kind of had to give the panic signal, and so they had to unsnap me real quick. So I said, look, I got let me go see Dr. Bajaj first, and then I'll come back. So I went and saw my doctor, and I was sitting there talking to him, and I told him, I said, God, I said, Doc, he said, Ron, this is important. You've got to figure out how to push yourself through this. He said, we can sedate you if you need to, but we'd rather you not. You can handle this. So I finished I had my checkup with the doctor, and I finished up, and I went back to get my therapy. And so as I go get back, they put me back on the table. I laid back down. They placed the mask over, and that first click goes in. And again, I mean, it is loud, and it's like a cap going off, and it gets your attention. And I could feel myself start to go flush a little bit. And right away I went, all right, hey, whoa, here we go. Let's go. Focus. Let's focus now. What we're going to do is we're going to get this radiation treatment because we're going to kick cancer's ass. We're getting after it. Let's go. And I would psych myself up to relax, basically, so that they could give me my treatment. And from that point on, every time that first click would go, my mind would start to race, and I would start going, here we go. Now let's go. We're going to get treatment. It's good for you. Come on, body. We can do this. Let's go. White blood cells, everything. We're headed to the spot now. We're going to beat it. And I would just talk myself into it for the remainder of my treatments. And I tell you, it's kind of spooky because it's if you're claustrophobic, you'll struggle with it. That's for sure.
I can't believe when you told me that story the first time. I was like, bro. I
Oh,
mean, if
you,
I
you
get
know,
cancer, I hope it's not that one.
it's crazy because the mask. You remember the movie? Oh gosh, Predator.
Yeah.
The mask is kind of looks like the Predator mask,
Oh
and
man,
it's.
that's
I mean,
intense.
oh yeah, it's form fitted to you. Okay, it fits exactly you, and it's a mold that they make, and they use that, and it's to keep you perfectly still so they can give you your therapy because the proton is very precise. They have a physicist on staff that helps calculate everything to make sure that the proton is hitting exactly where it's supposed to. That's how accurate it has to be.
Were you scared going through the process, or what? Like, how do you handle the
Yes,
emotions?
it is. It gets your attention. Everything goes through your mind. Um, you know, like I said, one of the toughest things was to tell my family, and I tried to be strong in front of them. That's the hard part because you don't want them because if you're nervous and you don't know how everybody's going to react. But I will tell you this: the support I got from my wife, my two kids was amazing. My wife and my daughter were my two primary caregivers. Whenever my son came to town, he was there to help. Courtney was my daughter Courtney was unbelievable. It hit her very hard. But I will tell you this, and this is something we learned, and it's kind of been shown to be a fact that men that have somebody as a caregiver, they will recover and well. A man that's daughter is his caregiver has an even better chance of recovering because nobody will take care of dad like daddy's little girl. And Courtney, I call her the Fink because every time I had to go see the doctor, she was all on it. She was, oh no, Dad, go ahead, tell him what you told me the other day. Tell me how much this is hurting, how much bothering you now. Or hey doc, is this okay that he does that? I mean, she would just think everything. And Dr. Bajaj and Dr. Deacon, the two of them would just sit there and go, okay, coach, what's going on? So I'd have to tell them, this or that. But because of her, it's one of those things when you have somebody that also can help ask those questions to help you get through this. It's important. It really is. You have to have an advocate.
That's all. I just really when we had dinner, I obviously I admired their story because it's hard for I think a man in general to say they were scared. Like
Yeah.
when my dad went through cancer, I was so young, and he kind of like I think he shouldered it enough to where like he
Mhm.
wasn't going to let it affect me. But as I get older, I'm
Mhm.
sure he had moments where he's like, the only one he told me was about him not being able to use the bathroom, and this lady was going to come in there and make sure he peed. And I was like, there's only one way to do that.
I'll tell you what now, it's a humbling experience. That's one thing I will tell you. It's a very humbling experience because you're at the mercy of the doctors, the caregivers. You have to really comply. I had some moments. Probably the worst moment I had was it was after my start of my second cycle when everything just seemed to hit me and culminate all at once. Um, Stephanie was going to bring me back to the facility after I got my last treatment that day. And so I was going to figure I'd go in the office and work. And as we were driving back, it's about a 25-minute drive from the hospital to the facility. I just started feeling worse and worse. And so finally we get to the facility and she's going to park. And I said, no, there's no way I can walk. She said, what? I said, you're going to have to take me to the back entrance. So she took me back and around down to the facility and they had to come, the head trainer had to come out. And so arm in arm, Stephanie and the head trainer basically carried me into the facility. I had to get an IV treatment, and they walked me in through the training room where a lot of the players were, about 20 of them. And Stephanie said it got real quiet, and you could tell the players. She said it affected the players. They really looked at you and saw you doing what you were doing. And I said, well, that wasn't the intent, but apparently they saw that I was fighting through this, and I think that really helped me with the guys too. 'Cause at some point, I think they realized, God, if, coach can fight through it, if it's that important to him to be here, man, then this means something, and I think that helped. But I'm telling you, that was a hard day for me that day.
Coach, your the story last season with your team, Washington, making the playoffs. I mean, it was amazing, and it was one that football fans, not just in Washington, but across the country, were rooting for. How did that experience when you were back coaching the team? How did that change you as a coach?
The biggest thing that I think it really helped me with was getting, was looking for a way to make sure everybody understood just, you know, how important it was, that we did what we did. And it kind of gave me just the perspective that, guys, this is really about coming together, and it just my whole approach with them was different from in the past. And I really just think that the experience more so was about us coming together, us understanding and learning, because I listened a lot to them, and I had a group of go-to guys that I would go to and ask and talk to. And the thing I learned is that if you're going to ask them their opinion and ask them, hey, what do you think about us doing this, or how, you got to do it. So when I talked to the guys, as an example, one of the guys, I asked him about practices, how's it going. One of the guys says, coach, this late into the season, I'm not sure if we need to go in pads and do as much of this. I said, really? I said, well, I'll tell you what, if we practice and we practice fast, we don't have to hit. I'll take the pads off. And we did. And we did that going into the Pittsburgh game. We beat Pittsburgh. So we did it again the next week. And the thing that helped me was, I think, because I listened to players, but not just listening to them, I did what they had asked. I think that even helped us even more.
Gosh, I'm getting goosebumps.
You know,
Maybe
the
I'm
the,
getting
the
old.
no, I think what you're doing is that's the fan in you because I know you love football too. So I think you just appreciate that part of it.
I think I enjoy football, but I enjoy the adversity of obviously sports. It's real. It's going to happen. But the adversity of life is
Hmm.
it's comparable. So when I hear stories about how people got through it, I just know that my day's coming. Everyone's day is coming. It just might not be as extreme, and it might not be in the media, but I want to be prepared for that day. And I just hope that other people have that opportunity to be prepared, be able to talk about it, be open about it. And I think you've done an incredible job of telling what you're going through, obviously, but also being open to, hey man, you're not the only one. And it's
Yeah.
hard to go through adversity, and you know it's a challenge for you, but to be able to someone else to look right next to you and be like, hey, you're not in it by yourself. We do a good job of keeping things in this world, but we'll put something else on social media like, hey man, that's just not that ain't it.
You know what was interesting about that, Harold, was we made an announcement publicly for two reasons. One is it was going to get out because people were going to see me going to the hospital and getting treatment. But secondly, we did it. I think to show, to kind of help other people along the way. And as I was going through this, and as I said to you, it's a very humbling experience. And probably just the moment that made me realize just how humbling it was when I was in the waiting room waiting to get my radiation treatment. And I would look and I would see, and you see the patients that were there every day with you at the same time, and you would see how the medical staff and how hard they worked, and how much they treated everybody the same. Didn't matter who you are or what you did or where you're from. They treated everybody the same. And it was really neat to watch just the healthcare workers and on how they treated everybody with such respect and dignity. Because what you go through is very difficult and can be very lonely at times. And there were some people there that didn't have anybody with them, and those were the ones you try to make sure you said hello to and talk to, so that they felt like somebody was there to support them. And so as I went through this and then listening to what the doctors were talking about and how important the right type of treatment is when you have a cancer, it's really kind of opened my eyes and made me realize that we're the richest country in the world, and yet we don't have affordable health care across the board for every American citizen, which I think is ludicrous. Because not everybody got the kind of treatment or gets the kind of treatment that I had. And there are some people that have better treatment than me, and there's some that don't. But I think at minimum, people should be able to have the type of treatment I had, because just because somebody doesn't have the right insurance, they get denied. That's crazy. I mean, those are some of the lessons I've learned, and I've said, hey, I'd be more than happy to be an advocate for something like this.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the whole, I mean, just following from afar and then getting to hear your story as you're sharing it with us. It's just, I mean, to not only go through that, but then also you're coaching a team in the NFL that makes a playoff run. I mean, to have all of that come together and overlap, and your body's going through that physical toll and emotional toll. It's just it's unbelievable. So,
You,
like, hats off to you.
you know what was really cool too about when I was going through all this were the text messages and encouraging notes I got from people. People would call me, leave a message, they text message me, they sent me letters, they sent me notes. I'm trying to answer as many as I can. I mean, I got boxes of them still in my office that I haven't had a chance to get to because there were so many of them. But it was really cool, and it's funny because I tell people, if you know anybody going through anything like this, send them a note, send them a text, leave them a phone message, because that really does lift your spirits. I mean, it helps you, and so that's one of the things that I really did appreciate too. I mean, like, get an opportunity, and I did a text. I got a text from Harold. That was cool. Hey, thinking of you, brother. Those things from your friends, from people that didn't even know you, that makes a difference. It helps.
Without a doubt. I haven't really been through anything like that, but just getting a text that people are thinking about you is just have to. I mean, that's what you want in life. You want people to be like, "Hey, you're important to me."
Hmm.
But that's what I think.
No, and I think that's cool because that's one of the hardest things. Like you said, as a man, you don't want to show people you're scared, but that helps you. It helps you through those things. It really does. It was a heck of an experience, believe me. Um, people say this too. You don't know cancer till it touches somebody you know, but you really get to know it when it touches you. It gets your attention, your focus. And one of the pieces of advice I tell people is you got to be selfish. You have to be selfish and take care of yourself, man, because if not, your body will let you know it. And believe me, there were times when my body told me to slow down. My body told me to take a nap. I did it. I did, and that was one of the nice things too. I really appreciate the organization here. The Our owners, Mr. and Mrs. Snyder, are both cancer survivors, so they knew what I was going through, and they were very supportive of myself and Stephanie and the family. Having that kind of support behind you too makes a difference.
Coach, what were the conversations like? And I mean, the whole process with Alex Smith getting back on the field. And I met Alex in 17 pre-injury at
Mhm.
the Tahoe Celebrity Golf Tournament. No, he's a big golfer. I think he's like a 6 handicap, plays all the time. But then, I mean, it was basically like a 2-year recovery. So to have that running parallel to what you were going through, and then he's playing meaningful football for you guys and helping aid into this playoff run.
Well, it was tough, because when I got there, I didn't know a lot about his injury. I didn't know a lot about his rehab. I didn't know what to expect. And so early on, when we first got there, we put him on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list, with the idea of trying to see what he could withstand and what he could handle before we actively put him back into practice. And as we went through it, the dude he just kept going and kept fighting, and we activated him, got him back onto the football field, got him doing some things, and then he came and sat down with us and said, "Hey, I want more. I need more." We gave him more, and he showed it. He proved it, and so he made the 53-man roster. And I put him there knowing that at some point he may have to play. So I was ready for that. But when it finally came in the Rams game, I didn't expect Errol Donald to jump on his back like he did and sack him, because it
Yeah, did
scared
you
the heck
not
out of
get
me.
nervous? Yeah, that's what I
Oh,
mean. Just him going on the field, you're sitting there, you're like,
oh yeah.
you know.
I was
He-
I was scared to death. I mean, because in the back of your mind, you're going, "Oh, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt," because you don't want to be the guy that put it back on the field that he got hurt. And fortunate enough, for us, when he took the sack, he seemed to be able to withstand it, and that was awesome. It was an amazing thing to watch him go through what he did as well, and come back and fight and compete and do the things that he did, and really, help us. I mean, he helped us get into the playoffs. I mean, he lit that fire under his teammates, and the guys responded, and it was an amazing thing to watch.
Dude, it still makes me nervous. Like just thinking about like I have two perfect legs and I can't even hit a golf ball straight. He's out there getting sacked by Aaron Donald with, you know, I'm just going to tell you, I think he basically has one leg and he's like, I got this. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Wild.
It was wild because you're right, but just who he was, the confidence in which he approached it, I think his teammates really bought into him, and that was one of the things that really help us as we went through this.
what a moving season, by the way. Holy, I mean, all
It,
this stuff going on, just like, hey,
uh,
I got it. We're going to keep going.
that was the cool thing about Harold was, as we went through it, I think it really helped us to keep our focus, even the COVID portion of it, because we were the number one team in terms of the fewest COVID incidents on our from our players. We had one injured reserve player and one practice squad player get COVID, and then the other guys, the active players, nobody got sick. So we were able to keep our guys focused on that. And I think, that was the first thing. The second thing was, watching these guys come together as a team, support each other, compete, and win. And once we got on that roll, and really, we beat, after we beat Pittsburgh, we beat Dallas on the Thursday game, Thanksgiving game. That was huge for our guys because that helped keep the momentum. And then we beat Pittsburgh, and then we went and we beat San Francisco, that which kept us in first place and just set us up that all we had to do was win one of our next three, and we were in the playoffs.
Freaking nuts. I know George chopping at the bit about talking about some team in Chicago, so I'll
I've
let
been
him.
patient.
I
I've been
wasn't. I
patient.
wasn't even thought of when you were playing there, Coach. We were talking about being young and old, but I guess George is way older than I thought he was. So he's over here like, "Can we talk about the Bears, please?"
Coach, before I pepper you with 85 Bears questions, the nickname Riverboat Ron. I mean, it's
Um,
is that a moniker you adopt? Where do you think that ranks among coaches' nicknames in the
I think
NFL?
I think it's a pretty good one. It's funny, George, because what happened with that was um, I had learned a little bit of a lesson from John Madden. One of the things that Coach Madden told me was, "Hey, look, you've played enough football, you've coached enough football, you know enough football. Go with your gut, go with your instincts. Okay, stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to go by the book." See, I had a record my first two seasons of being 3-13 of games settled by 6 points or less. And what happened was I went by the book on decisions to punt here and kick there and go for this. And because I was conservative, we lost games. And Coach Madden told me, he said, Ron, just go by your experience. And so that's what happened. I started going by my gut on fourth downs. We had momentum. Hey, let's go for it. We go for it. We get it. And I started doing that in the 2013 season, and it paid off. We went on a streak. We won 8 straight games.
I
Um,
remember.
yeah, yeah. And we put ourselves in position to win the division for the first time in about 10 years. And we got into a great situation and against New Orleans. We win for it. It worked out, and lo and behold, we ended up winning the division. So because I was going for it on fourth down, somebody said, "Boy, he's like a riverboat gambler out there." And somebody said, "Riverboat Ron," and they made a little meme of it. And next thing you know, it becomes a pretty big deal.
I love it. I think it's an awesome nickname. So I'd always wanted to ask you what you thought of it.
Oh,
Uh,
well, what we did with it too, George, was my wife. I guess copywrote it, and so we have or trademarked, excuse
oh, you
me.
got the trademark.
Yes,
Nice.
so
Shrewd
we
businessman.
oh yeah, well, we use the logo for charity. Like
Okay.
oh yeah, like some of the things that we've done. We've sewn the logo on some hats and some beanie caps, and we've sold them, and all that money goes to charity. So it's worked out pretty well for us when we've done the charitable things that we did in Charlotte for the Boys and Girls, the Ronald McDonald House, for the Humane Society, and for the USO, and it was a neat thing.
That's awesome to see how it comes full circle where you're able to, I mean, use it for things that you want to support and connect with in your community.
It's
Now
about
I get,
winning games, though, George. Relax. Like, I love charities, but man, winning oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
uh, so I got to do my one proverbial 85 Bears questions. Obviously, the
Sure.
best team of all time. Some amazing nicknames and characters on that team. Is there one night that stands out with those guys, or one experience where you still look back 35 years later and you're just like, oh my God, those guys were crazy?
There's not just one. There were a lot of them. There really were. Like you said, there's so many personalities. There's so many nicknames on them, and I've got so many good friends, great teammates, guys that I'm fortunate enough to remember. Um, there were so many things that we did that were just crazy. Like one of my favorite stories I tell people about is one night when we were in training camp. Um, there was a group of guys that we used to always hang out. We play cards and just kind of stayed around. Well, one night, Dan Hampton and Richard Dent decides, "Hey guys, we're breaking curfew. Let's go." So, what do you mean we're going? Come on, we're going to go down to the VFW and we're going to have a couple beers. So we sneak out, the five of us, grown men sneaking out of dorm rooms, and we go to the VFW. They let us in. We're playing pool. We drinking the beer, just playing pool. And all of a sudden, the waitress comes by and she says, and she brings this pitcher of beer. So here I got it. So I reach in my pocket to give her $10, and she goes, "Oh no, no, it's from the coach."
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that's exactly what we thought. Oh shit, we're dead. And we look over, and there he is. He's sitting over there with his buddies, and he comes over, and I said to the guys, "Oh man, we're screwed now, guys. He's gonna kill us." So he comes over and he says, "Hey, what's going on, fellas?" Hey, so he introduces his buddies to us. He says, "All right, who's got next game?" And Richard Dent, I'll take you out. So Richard Dent and Coach Dick, they're playing pool, and Dan Hampton and all that. And the whole time I'm just fretting, going, "Oh, he's gonna murder us tomorrow, man. We're done." So he looks at his watch and he goes, "It's a little after midnight." And he goes, "I don't know about you guys, but we got practice tomorrow, fellas." So we head out. We go back. So I get up the next morning and I figured, we're screwed. So I'm going to practice, got my gear on. We're out sounding on practice field. He brings everybody up before we get started. I'm thinking to myself, all right, here it goes. He's going to call us out and just MF us. And he calls everybody and goes, "Hey, let me tell you guys something now, just so y'all remember this. All right. If you're going to go out at night and hoot with the owls, you better soar with the eagle during the days." And I'll tell you what, it was one of the best practices we had because it felt like he was talking right at us, just telling us, "Hey guys, you better show up or I'm gonna get you." And so he doesn't fine us. We don't get the pink slip or anything. I'm thinking to myself, God, what the heck? So a few years later, I asked him. I said, "Hey, coach, you never fined us for that night." He looked at me and said, Ronnie, the reason is you guys weren't out screwing around, chasing women or doing something stupid. You guys were hanging out together, building, bonding as a team. He said, I really appreciated that. I said, wow. I always kept that in mind. I always remember that now.
What a unique thing. In 1985, they can call you out without showing you up.
Oh, without a doubt. That's exactly it, H. Is because you know what? If you handle it right, if the lesson is learned, the guys figure it out and they appreciate that. Because you're right, it's not about calling a guy out; it's about making sure that they understand.
Yeah, I mean, now it's like, man, I don't like him. We go on to social media. I'm gonna get him on the gram.
I'll tell you what, too. Thank goodness they didn't have social media back then, because a lot more guys would have been in trouble.
I can only imagine the coverage for you guys if they had social media and like TMZ Sports or ESPN around the clock. It would have been crazy.
They were too busy living. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? That's true. We were enjoying it and we were bonding, man. I'm telling you, some of the best friends I have are the guys from that '85 team. And George, a little bit of a side note. I don't know if you heard, but Steve McMichael has ALS.
I did. I was really sad to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. He's Steve's Ming the Merciless is really one of the all-time greats. He was one of my golfing buddies.
Really?
Oh yeah.
That's one guy I've had one good night with.
Oh really?
Yeah, we got kicked out of a taxi cab at the Monday after Masters. Yeah, he said, "I don't know if I've ever been kicked out of a taxi cab," and I was like, "Well, there's a first for everything, bud." And here's the best part: I didn't know who he was. I just know we got out of a taxi cab. I was like, "That was pretty weird," And then the next day they're like, "Oh, who are you with?" And I'd say the name, and this guy I'm playing with is like, You got kicked out of the taxi cab with him?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, I must have messed up bad." Coach, we don't want to keep you long. We got a few quick fire questions.
Okay.
Who's the gosh, you can't say best. Who's the hardest to coach against?
Oh wow. Coach Belichick, Coach Reed, Sean Payton. I mean, those guys are are three of the toughest. I mean, there's a lot of them. Those three guys stand out.
I mean, because it's so competitive. This is a couple from my buddies that we were like getting on here, and I get all these quick fire questions from. Who's the best player you've ever coached? This one I don't think's fair because there's too many. So if you want to name a few, fire away.
Oh wow, there really are quite a few. But there's Brian Urlacher who was in Chicago with us. Alex Brown was one of my favorites there, as well as Lance Briggs. There's so many guys, and I know I'm gonna forget some. Then going to Carolina, just being there with Luke and Greg Olson and Christian and Cam. I mean, the list goes on because there were so many great ones in Carolina. When I was in San Diego, there was a lot of good ones that just it's hard to name them all. I mean, you're right. It's a very hard question.
I knew that was going to happen. That's why I was like, as soon as the question came, I was like, man, this just isn't fair. Was it just going to be like one person? That'd be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Coach, what's the of all the cities that you've been in through your career, best golf city?
Oh wow,
your coaching career.
Oh, they all have their own. They all have their own personality, their own character. I mean, San Diego had great golf courses, and Philadelphia has some in that area. Not as many of those as there is. Chicago's got great golf, but North Carolina had some really. Charlotte has some really good ones.
Oh, now you're paying.
Go ahead, George. Go ahead, George. Listen.
Yeah, but there really are. There's some really special ones, and I'll tell you, up here in the DC area, the Robert Trent Jones course I got to play it this past Saturday was just phenomenal. I mean, just a beautiful golf course.
You've been out to Congressional?
Oh yes. I didn't get to play the blue course because they're renovating it. They're getting it ready for, I think, something big coming up. I think either U.S. Open or something. But it's beautiful. I mean,
It's
it's a
already
great spot.
9,000 yards long. I mean, what else are they going to
Yeah,
do to it?
make it longer and harder.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Best player you ever played with? I think this
Oh,
might be.
Walter Payton, without a
That's
doubt.
what I thought would.
Yeah, Walter Payton. Absolutely.
Unbelievable.
Yes, just not just a great football player, but a good person. I mean, a really good person who cared about you beyond football. I mean, he's the guy that helped me get into coaching, and that's one of the reasons I'll forever be grateful to him.
Oh, really? I never
Yeah,
knew that. I just
yeah,
obviously I know him of, like right now he's like, he's hero status. You got to see him on a more like that's my guy.
yeah. He really was. I mean, just people don't realize it. And what was also neat was the way he treated my parents. Every time my parents came to town and they were at a game and he saw them, he'd go give my mom a big hug, and then he'd take my dad into the bar and get him a beer. I mean, just treated him like he'd known them forever.
That's hard to do at that level is to be so caring to everyone. So
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's pretty good.
Coach,
It was.
couple golf ones at the end. What's your low round?
My low round is a 71, one
Wow.
under. It was in Chicago at a place called Stonebridge. I
Play
actually,
there.
yeah, actually, it was crazy. I had two eagles that day. I chipped one in from just off the green, and I made a long bomb of a putt. So that was my big day.
71, coach. I mean, you've been coaching too much.
You better.
Like no, that's awesome, coach. Thank you so much for your time. I know you got a crazy week coming. Obviously I'm a huge Panthers fan. You've obviously as a friend been there for me, but somewhat of a mentor. So I thank you. And I'll be pulling for the Washington football team a little bit.
Well,
It's
I appreciate.
personal reasons.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that too, H. I mean, it's really cool to watch you out there, watch you have success like you did a couple of weeks. That was really a lot of fun. George, I appreciate the fact that you're an old Bear fan. That was pretty cool. So thank you guys.
Die hard. I was looking forward to this. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for the time, Coach.
All righty, guys. You take care.
Hey, be good. See you soon.
I hear it all the time. George, you're living in Miami these days. You got to have some late nights and you wake up, you're not feeling too hot. Not true. And I'll tell you why. Tempo. Total game changer. Tempo supplements guarantee you're never going to miss a beat thanks to a formulation of natural ingredients and essential nutrients. 2 versions of Tempo. Hungover AF, which I've taken. Natural hangover supplement. And coffee. A supplement for clarity and focus. Check out both at trytempo.co. That's trytempo.co. Find your rhythm with Tempo. Use promo code TEMPO for 15% off your order.
What an awesome guy. Been a super advocate of him when he was with the Panthers, but he's become a friend / mentor, someone just always to talk to. So it was pretty cool to, get him on there. He could have easily said no, but just super cool to see him share his, what he's gone through. Obviously we watched it on TV and just, you're like, what is
Harold, we got him on 2 days before the draft, so it's not like he doesn't have other things going on. I mean, it's awesome that he was willing
What's
to
the
set
draft?
aside.
No, I'm joking with you.
It's awesome he was willing to set aside the time to chat with us, and it's a testament to how good of friends that you are. That I mean, we were able to talk with him for an hour, and he was just getting off of calls and reading through scouting reports, and you can tell just how genuinely good a guy he is.
Yeah, I can't imagine just because, like, especially when he was talking about you can't talk to, I think if you talk to these guys in person, you can eliminate or, you can kind of know what direction you're going in. But I mean, I'm sure he's just sitting there like, man, like, what do I know about this kid? And I'm just glad I'm not making those decisions because
And look what he did with Dwayne Haskins, who
Ooh.
they had a quarterback, and he was saying no COVID cases with Washington in their active roster, but that was a quick Evo, and clearly that wasn't a guy who was part of their winning culture. So
He gone.
yeah, I mean, he walks it and talks it, and you can tell that Ron's a guy who If you buy into his program, then he's going to have your back. And if not, then I mean, it'll be a quick hook if needed.
I mean, I made fun of him for being old, but I think that's an old school mindset. Hey, man, we can succeed without you, and there's not much of that these days.
I think that's a winning mindset.
Hey, no one's arguing. I can't argue with you because we're friends. We can go back and forth, but the rest of the world might not think that. So we're just going to sit here and say, okay.
You gotta now it's story time with HV3. I know you and Ron, not just from a like golf standpoint or social scene in Charlotte, but you've hung out a pretty good amount. And what's been like a cool hang or story that you got
Yes.
to share?
So I obviously have a bunch of stories. He's been ever since we played golf together. We've always shot the breeze. Hey, how's life going? Every year in Pebble, we get dinner with my pro-am partner, Ben Sutton, and they obviously love California, but I stay with Ben and we go get dinner and we just shoot the breeze. But the coolest thing that for me, from my perspective, is the the day the evening of when I shot 81 on Sunday at Bethpage at the PGA. He texted me and he's like, hey, H, what, basically we were talking. He's like, the end of it said, what are you doing tomorrow? And I was like, I'm just hanging out. He's like, I'll see you at practice at X time. And I was like, what? And you might be at practice. So we go to practice and like, I'd been to practice before and usually like he stands in the middle of the field and watches and I basically just like see these freaks just running up and down the field. But I'll never forget this time he basically held my hand like a kid, like, hey, it's okay. It's gonna be all right. Got to stand next to him while he was watching practice, and we just shot the breeze about he's really big about just being a man. And I'm still a kid to this day. I'm still a kid. I would have been when I went to this practice, I had to be, I guess, 28, 27, might have been younger. And I just remember just why does this guy care about me? And it's pretty cool to see like a famous person or a person has so much going on be so impactful in my life. And it didn't matter that I was on the PGA Tour. It mattered that he cared. Like that's a lot of stuff we were talking about in there. So that's something I'll never forget. And that's why I also say, like, yeah, Ron's a friend, but he's more of a mentor. Obviously he's got the age part of the mentorship type thing, but I can ask him anything.
And I know, we're friendly with Brian Urlacher, who Ron was his defensive coordinator in Chicago, and he
Just nailed that first person who's dude, Brian Earl. I was like, yeah, I get it. It was awesome. That was pretty cool.
But like Brian said how amazing a coach Ron was, and I think it's because of like what he did with you. Like he genuinely cares about people. So it's yeah, it was an interview. I mean, I put that up there as one of my favorites. I was excited to talk to him as a Chicago guy. He's big in Charlotte, now in Washington. Speaking of big in Charlotte, you got this week off, and then next week. I mean, that's what your major basically. Charlotte's
Damn right.
major, Wells
Yeah.
Fargo.
It's obviously it's a special place. Obviously being a member, playing there. This will be my 7th, 8th year. I don't know, whatever. But every year I said it in Hilton Head. It's my major. Basically because contending or having to, winning there would be so impactful of like all the, it takes a village to raise a kid, and that this is my village, and I'm proud to be from here. And um, man, so many people would be, like, yeah, I would be, I'd make more money. I'd move up in the world rankings, but so many people would be they'd be happy if I won any event, but that one would be, I mean, I would not feel great the next day. I just know what it would mean to.
I would hopefully also be not feeling good the next day.
So it's right around the corner. I think I'm playing well. I didn't help my partner last week, so maybe I'm not playing well. I don't know, but we'll figure it out.
We already dove into that. But what you're a Quail member now, so not only are you the local guy, it's your club.
Yeah, the Moes versus the Mitts. It's awesome. I lose to these old guys all the time. They get so many shots. It's
Well,
cool and all, but
what was the process like to get in there?
it was mine was awesome. I knew a lot of the members, which I think doesn't hurt. I helped Snow and Johnny Harris. He's a impactful person in that neck of the woods.
Moves the needle.
Yeah, so it was I think everyone goes through it. It's just a part of it. It was super easy. I met with some guys that you know, that were pretty fun to be around. And I don't think I'm too hard to hang out with. So it's been good. It's been great. We've I haven't had dinner there as a member yet, which is weird, but I'll enjoy the golf part of it.
What are you gonna do between now and 2 Thursdays from now to be ready?
So I am going to. I don't know what I'm going to do. I know what I've been doing. I've been mowing grass, so it's hadn't been awesome. So I'm looking forward to playing some golf. I'm going to go down to Congaree and play. Obviously, a special place. For me, I've had a great time there during COVID with you and met the freaking family, Bruce Davidson, just great people that want to change the game of golf. And I'm just super happy to be a part of it. I think it's pretty cool. They got the tournament coming up. I just don't want it to be as hard as the first time I played there.
It was insane.
81s are good on, some days, but not when, not just regular day when you're playing with your boys.
Yeah. What well, we got this week off, next week Wells Fargo, man. Looking forward to connecting the start of Wells week because I mean that's your Super Bowl. So it's you're gonna have a lot going on that week and you're gonna see the game face.
Let's go, baby.
Let's
Let's go.